Samuel Clemens, also known as the famed writer Mark Twain. The two had a long-standing relationship, and Twain, who was notoriously fascinated with science and technology, was a regular visitor at Tesla's laboratory. By this point in his life, Twain was, as Tesla described, in the worst shape, suffering from a variety of distressing and dangerous ailments. Thus, on this particular afternoon, Tesla suggested that Twain try out a new invention he'd been working on, a mechanical oscillator which sent vibrations through the body at various frequencies. Twain agreed and stepped onto Tesla's machine. At the end of the process, Twain suddenly leapt up and rushed to the toilet with terrible diarrhea. Despite this, Twain would continue to use the machine daily for almost 2 months, at the end of which he had, in the words of Tesla, regained his old vigor and ability of enjoying life to the fullest extent. This was, in fact, exactly what Tesla had expected, the same results Tesla and his assistants had achieved during their experimentation with the invention. As Tesla described in his records, I stepped on the platform and the vibrations imparted to it by the machine were transmitted to my body. The sensation experienced was as strange as agreeable, and I asked my assistants to try. They did so and were mystified and pleased like myself. But a few minutes later, some of us who had stayed longer on the platform felt an unspeakable and pressing necessity which had to be promptly satisfied. And then the stupendous truth dawned upon me. When I began to practice with my assistant's mechanical therapy, we used to finish our meals quickly and rush back to the laboratory. We suffered from dyspepsia and various stomach troubles, biliousness, constipation, flatulence, and other disturbances, all natural results of such irregular habit. But only after a week of application, during which I improved the technique and my assistants learned how to take the treatment to their best advantage, all these forms of sickness disappeared as by enchantment, and for nearly 4 years, while the machine was in use, we were all in excellent health. Tesla described this discovery and invention as his greatest contribution to human well-being, a bold statement for an inventor on the level of Nikola Tesla. Throughout the rest of his life, he would use his oscillation machine to treat people with a wide variety of health problems, from constipation to cardiovascular disease, injuries and infections, sleep disorders, and hormonal imbalances. Over 2,500 years ago, legendary Greek thinker Pythagoras, the professed father of mathematics and geometry, as well as the first person to use the term philosophy, was walking past a blacksmith's shop when he heard the sounds of hammers pounding on iron emanating from within. He stopped, noticing the hammers were producing curious harmonies. Intrigued, he ran inside to investigate. After some examination, Pythagoras found that those hammers which were harmonious with each other had a simple mathematical relationship, namely, that their masses were ratios or fractions of each other. This sent his mind racing as he began to experiment, investigating and testing with liquids and glass, various pipes, and various lengths of stringed instruments he had created. The results of these experiments led Pythagoras to a stunning conclusion, that music was not only an expression of sacred geometry, but that it was, in fact, medicine. He began to use the instruments he had created to perform what he called soul adjustments, teaching that these adjustments would not only bring the soul into harmony, but purify the mind and heal the body. As 3rd century Syrian philosopher Iamblichus noted, Pythagoras devised musical medicines calculated to repress and cure diseases of both bodies and souls. In other words, Pythagoras was using vibrational medicine to treat a wide variety of illnesses and injuries, just as Tesla would thousands of years later. Led by Pythagoras, the ancient Greeks became proficient with vibrational medicine. They would treat their soldiers by plucking strings of a bow-like instrument over injuries, creating vibrations which were shown to allow pus to drain more freely and wounds to heal much faster. Further, they used healing chambers for dream sleep, where reverberant spaces inside temples would allow practitioners to, in effect, bathe in sound and vibration while they slept. Of course, the Greeks were not the only, nor even the first, ancient culture to use vibrational medicine. It is interesting to note that Pythagoras was the first Greek educated in the Egyptian secrets of science, medicine, math, and astronomy. This during a 20-plus year stint he spent in the country. Notably, a fundamental part of this secret Egyptian knowledge, which Pythagoras must surely have been exposed to, was a belief that sound and vibration had healing abilities. Consider, the Egyptians used certain resonant vowel sounds in their ancient rituals. These vowels were considered so sacred that they were banned from everyday language and did not appear in the written language of hieroglyphics. Further, Egyptians used an instrument called a sistrum during ceremonies, a rattle with metal discs attached to it, which had been shown to create exceptionally high levels of ultrasound. There are some, such as Egyptian archaeologist Dr. Abdel Hakim Awyan, who believe that the pyramids themselves were used for sound healing. Dr. Abdel suggests that the large granite sarcophagi which have been found inside various pyramids were not sarcophagi at all, but rather conducive platforms for people to lie on and absorb sound vibrations resonating through the chambers. As he explains, every chamber within the pyramid has a specific harmonic, replicating the harmonics of the cavities of the human body. Sound healing techniques were then used to restore the patient's body to the correct harmonics. When considering whether the pyramids of Egypt were used in sound healing, it should be mentioned that a similar, much older temple was found on the island of Malta in the early 1900s. A Neolithic underground complex which displayed exceptional sound behavior. Archaeologist Fernando Coimbra described how, when within the complex, he felt the sound crossing his body at high speed, leaving a sensation of relaxation. When it was repeated, the sensation returned, and he also had the illusion that the sound was reflected from his body to the ancient red ochre paintings on the walls. Could this be the same effect Abdel is describing in Egyptian pyramids? Crucially, Coimbra and his team noted that all of the underground rooms resonated at the same frequency, exactly 111 Hz. This is significant not only because 111 Hz has been called the holy frequency, but because when Pythagoras created a musical scale, during the experiments which followed his experience with the blacksmith's hammers, it started with an A note, which resonated at, yes, 111 Hz. Yet vibrational medicine goes back further and stretches across the cultures of humanity. It is not just the arena of the Middle East and the Mediterranean. 40,000 years ago in Australia, the world's oldest wind instrument, the yidaki, now known as the didgeridoo, was used to heal broken bones, muscle tears, and illnesses. Native American powwows, with drumming, chanting, and singing, have been used to treat mental and physical illness for many thousands of years. The Buddhist monks of Tibet have long incorporated the vibrations of singing bowls and gongs into their ceremonies and meditations. The list could go on, but the point seems clear. Ancient cultures appear to have possessed knowledge about the healing powers of sound and vibration, a knowledge rediscovered by Tesla at the end of the 20th century. But are these secrets of sound just fantasy, the irrelevant ramblings of generations past, or something more? Perhaps it is not a myth, but science. In the early 1900s, a curious article appeared in The World Today magazine detailing the alleged adventures of one Nicola Tesla on a day out in New York City. It read, "He put his little vibrator in his coat pocket and went out to hunt a half-erected steel building. Down in the Wall Street district, he found one, 10 stories of steel framework without a brick or a stone laid around it. He clamped the vibrator to one of the beams and fussed with the adjustment until he got it." In Tesla's own words, "Finally, the structure began to creak and weave, and the steel workers came to the ground, panic-stricken, believing that there had been an earthquake. Rumors spread that the building was about to fall. and the police reserves were called out. Before anything serious happened, I took off the vibrator, put it in my pocket, and went away. But if I had kept on 10 minutes more, I could have laid that building flat in the street. And with the same vibrator, I could drop Brooklyn Bridge into the East River in less than an hour. What Tesla understood, what served as the backdrop not only to this story but to the creation of his oscillator and experiments with vibrational medicine, was quite simply that everything is made up of atoms in a constant state of motion. Depending on the speed of this motion, things will appear as a solid, a liquid, or a gas. That is to say, even something as presumably solid as a building is really more space between atoms than anything else. What Tesla did to the building was what he and ancient cultures believed could be done to the human body. That is, he used vibration to reorganize its very structure. In the words of acclaimed doctor and chiropractor June Leslie Weider, vibrational medicine works at a deep cellular level where molecular properties are being changed by vibrations. String theory explains that everything in the universe is constantly vibrating, each with its own unique frequency. Just as electrons vibrate while revolving around the nucleus of an atom, so too do planets vibrate as they circle suns. As Einstein put it, everything in life is a vibration. Accordingly, human beings have an optimal frequency, that is, a state, where each of the cells in the human body are vibrating as they were designed to. During the early 1990s, quantum physicist Bruce Tainio conducted experiments which showed that a healthy human body resonates at between 62 and 70 megahertz. Further, he found that when that frequency drops below 58 hertz, the immune system becomes compromised and disease starts. In other words, a person's health is directly impacted by the frequency their body is vibrating at. Optimal frequency can be lowered by chemical, physical, mental, or emotional stimuli. For example, Tainio found that viruses have their own very low frequencies. At around the same time, an osteopath named Dr. Peter Guy Manners was also studying the relationship between sound, vibration, and healing. He concluded, "A healthy organ will have its molecules working together in a harmonious relationship with each other and will be of the same pattern. If different sound patterns enter into the organ, the harmonious relationship could be upset. They may establish their disharmonious pattern in the organ, bone tissue, etc., and this is what we call disease." Vibrational medicine is an attempt to use vibrations to put a body's frequency back into an optimal place, to reconstruct the harmonious relationship of molecules working together. This is what Pythagoras described as bringing order to chaos and discord. Through his soul adjustments, the concept which led Tesla to surmise, if you could eliminate certain outside frequencies that interfered in our bodies, we would have greater resistance toward disease. Here the question must be asked, if vibrational medicine is in fact based on the fundamental biology and quantum physics principles upon which the universe is constructed, then what might be possible? What powers might vibrational medicine hold? In 1981, a biologist named Helene Grimal came together with a composer named Fabienne Maman to undertake a groundbreaking study on the effects of sound waves on living cells, most specifically cancer cells. For 18 months, they worked using gongs, xylophones, stringed instruments, and the human singing voice, recording what happened to the cells when they did. Stunningly, they found that using a 9-note Ionian scale caused the cancer cells to lose structural integrity and explode in minutes. Think of a wine glass shattering when an opera singer hits a high note. As Maman described, cancer cells cannot maintain their structure when specific sound wave frequencies attack the cytoplasmic and nuclear membranes. When the vibratory rate increases, the cells cannot adapt or stabilize themselves and die by disintegrating and exploding. Wondering about the implications of such a shocking discovery, the pair began to work with two women who had been diagnosed with breast cancer. Both women were instructed to sing the scale for 3.5 hours per day for 1 month. At the end of this period, one woman's tumor had become undetectable, while the others had simply dried up. Since then, further studies have been conducted on the effects of vibration on cancer cells, including one early in 2020, which suggested that ultrasound can destroy cancer cells while leaving other cells intact. These types of results have scientists thinking big. As Anthony Holland, a musical scientist, recently said during a TEDx talk, "I now believe that the future cancer treatment rooms for children will be a very different place. It will be a pleasant place where children gather and make new friends. They probably won't even know they're sick. They'll draw pictures, color in their books, play with their toys, all the while unaware that above them, beautiful blue pinking plasma lights are emanating healing, pulsing electric fields, shattering their cancer painlessly and non-toxically, one cell at a time." Cure cancer has become something of a cultural euphemism in modern times. This product can do everything but cure cancer, an advertiser might say, while a proud parent might proclaim, "My child is going to grow up and cure cancer." Is it possible that, moving beyond euphemism, vibrational medicine might actually be able to do this? Incredibly, its effects on cancer cells are only the start of the powers of vibrational medicine, which science is now recording. Studies have shown that the practice of sound bathing, that is, exposure to vibrational medicine, directly reduces anxiety and depression. According to one study, 62 women and men with an average age of 50 reported significantly less tension, anger, fatigue, and depressed mood after sound sessions. A study in the Journal of Athletic Training described how vibration therapy can help muscle soreness after exercise, while other studies have shown vibrational medicine to help with arthritis, menstrual pain, post-operative pain, and chronic pain. Vibrational therapy has been used by the Russian space program since the 1960s and is used by NASA today to increase the bone density of astronauts, something which is now being applied to patients with osteoporosis and spinal cord injuries. Elsewhere, a study published in the Journal of Diabetes, Science and Technology showed vibration therapy to improve blood flow and help with the neurovascular complications of diabetes. But it goes even further. A recent study reported in Neurorehabilitation Journal suggested that vibration therapy can decrease muscle tremors and rigidity in people with Parkinson's disease, while a 2014 study published in the Egyptian Journal of Medical Human Genetics found that vibration therapy can help children with cerebral palsy increase muscle strength and decrease spasticity. Additionally, research has shown that vibration therapy can help Alzheimer's patients with thinking and memory. Take a step back. What is being described here is some sort of miracle drug, a treatment for everything from pain and injury to mental health to serious illnesses, even those like cancer and Alzheimer's, thus far deemed incurable by mainstream medicine. Vibrational medicine, its secrets based on the foundational principles of biology and quantum physics, known to the ancients and rediscovered by Tesla, must surely have the power to change the way medicine is practiced and the way human health is approached.